Hey, it's Ember, and once again I'm speaking to you from the top of a mountain about the nature of consciousness. And I know you guys hear a lot about the dance floor from me, but it's my attempt to explain the mechanics of consciousness from a place that's more graspable and ascertainable than speaking to you about it in the mathematics or the mechanics, oscillatory mechanics or Kuramoto synchrony. It's still useful to connect it to the fireflies and the metronomes and the way all these aspects of reality, from spiraling galaxies to hurricanes, and BZ chemical reaction in a petri dish to spiral activations of the heart, how reality has this decentralized pulse to it. But all that sounds like too big, right? You're just like, what? That just sounds like science class. What does it have to do with me, Amber? Well, do you want to feel your life? Do you want to feel like you're a dancer on a dance floor? And if your presence and your ability to feel love was like your ability to dance all the way down to the music that's playing in reality, and you realize most people are moving like this, like they're stuttering. It's like they always have a little wedge of separation between them and what reality is, and that feels like simulated presence. It feels like that slight to severe suffocation, depending on who you are, of like, I can't really feel myself, like nothing really feels real sometimes, like as far as like, what is real contact, what is real love, what is real sovereignty even. And I think it's a modern ailment because we've been in Plato's cave for so long that symbolic recursion, that need to define the world before we dance it out, is siphoning away the most alive parts of what it is to be a conscious being. And aliveness is the dance, right? When the music hits you, you're not trying to first describe the music or put another label on it. You're just letting it hit you all the way down. And when you realize that what I'm talking about is the full fidelity of consciousness hitting the variables of reality, the rhythm of reality, then you realize why it's so important. For me as a trans woman, it saved my life. There was a difference between living and not living. But most people live with just that little bit of a gap, that little bit of a wedge that prevents them from fully feeling themselves. And then they cover it up with drinking and money and power and social status. There's billionaires, or even maybe a trillionaire on this planet, who may have never been actually present with themselves all the way down. So it's not about success on paper, because you could still be some of the most powerful, influential people in this world, and I know you know it out there, they're not happy. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of these people who you think, oh, I wish I could be like them, let me go to school for longer, let me do all these different things. So you could put yourself in a box that's going to prevent yourself from feeling yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, all schooling and work is all that's evil. What I'm saying is that people start to lead their lives by notions of external versions of success and wholeness and satiation that actually prevent them from feeling themselves all the way down. It's like they've anchored themselves into a version of reality that's like simulacra. It's like you're eating food that's not real food, and if you eat it for long enough, you forget what real food is. And I'm trying to give you the real meal. Here's a little ember meal that I made you. It's a little ember muffin. And if you eat the whole thing, you might just be present right here in this reality. This one precious life that you have to live as you. Even if you come back as something different, this you with all these memories and these particular scars and these particular associations and all that stuff, don't you want to live it all the way down? Don't you want to dance it all the way down? Okay, so you get it. Simulated presence. I can't feel the dance all the way down. I'm stuttering on the dance floor. I'm ruminating in my head. I'm anxious in my head. Versus when I approach reality, it's not that my thoughts disappear, it's that everything comes in rhythm. I don't have that little extra loop. I don't have that little extra friction in my head. And I'm like a dancer on the dance floor that by natural tuning, when the music hits me, I can do a fast body roll, or I can do, a really slow one or whatever, like whatever is coming to me at the time, I'm not doing the best dancing on this like uneven, rocky ground, but you get it. You get the idea. Although I feel like I always do a booty shake in these videos, right? So maybe it'll come out. You never know. But I wanted to talk a little bit more because I've been making videos on this, right? A lot. But lately I've been focusing on the observation layer, because all of us can understand, like, you know, obviously we're all conscious beings listening to this, right? But at the same time, like, and I think most of us can understand present and not present, like lost in your head, like a balloon on your shoulders, versus like present, like those moments where you look at your baby, you maybe went to your prom, you climbed a mountain, you know, various aspects of life, a wedding, where you're like, I'm feeling it all the way down, a psychedelic, Burning Man, where you're like, I feel it. I'm really here right now. And then most people associate that with the method. Well, maybe I need to do another psychedelic. Maybe I need to go on another trip. Um, you know, like it's like I'm supplanting my ability to feel the music all the way down with this little method, right? Instead of just tuning my system to feel it all the way down, like, you know, in general in my life. And that would be like, you could say, leaving Plato's cave, going from indirectly interfacing with reality to directly interfacing with reality. Do you hear that? Simulated presence, looking at the shadows on the wall, versus I'm feeling reality bare and naked on my soul. I'm letting reality raw dog me. How about that? And now, is that the time for the booty shake? No, no, no. We'll save it. We'll save it. We'll save it. Okay. So, part of this has to do with steering, but you're like, but Ember, I'm conscious in my own life. I'm an adult. Look at all my titles back here. I'm sitting at my desk right now, and I went to this school and that school, and I've been this for this many years, and I'm respected as a senior whatever I am at my company. Sure, but are you really living a life where when the music hits you, you're doing your own dance? Or does your boss say, Mr. Whoever your name is, you're going to have to do this dance. We need you to do this dance. And then you're like, well, that's just what you got to do. I've never really done my own dance, but I have enough zeros in my bank account, so even if this sucks, I guess I'm successful. But then when I go home at night, I feel empty. And when I'm driving in the traffic lanes, I feel empty. Maybe I need to drink more. Do you see that? Okay. So steering is dependent on the generation site. In other words, where is myself being generated? Am I being pulled by the tides that make me want to do the shoulder move that I don't like? Well, that's just what you have to do in this world. You just got to do the shoulder move, right? That's what my parents did, the shoulder move, and their parents did the shoulder move, and that's just how it is. Even though at night I secretly wish that I could stand there and just shake my booty. I wish I could just shake it, you know? So then you have this that's the gap. I'm making like fun of it, but like that's the gap. It's like, for me as a trans woman, it was like, I have this like soft, I didn't know what it was. It was like an echolocation of signal. It's like, hey, when I wear the right thing, I feel like me. Why is that? When I do the right, thing in my art or my expression, I feel like me all the way down. It's like those moments. It's like those moments on top of a mountain or at Burning Man where I feel the moment all the way down. It's almost like when the music is playing, I'm letting it hit my bare naked soul and it's going all the way down. Versus always having like a little, I have to do it this way. Reality must be this way. See, control versus that vulnerable surrender. And the thing is, what I'm trying to point out is the generation site. You think that when you're in the generation site of control, you're like, I'm in control of things. Do you see that? I'm doing the shoulder move again, but I'm in control. This is my life. Do you see that? Do you see that? And like, how many of us go from birth to death without ever really having even a stretch of time where you can just be you? It doesn't mean be reckless, give away all your responsibilities. It just means that when reality hits you, your generation site is sovereign. It's you. It's not a little bit of you and I show this face under this circumstance. I only act like this in front of my family. I only act like this at work. Like, why can't I just be that same sovereign person in all these scenarios where it's almost like when reality hits me, I'm always letting it hit me and just dance, right? Versus I'm having a careful, curated version of myself that I think is responsible, but really it's siphoning that aliveness that I talked about, that synchrony of connection with the soundscape of what is reality. Because what is aliveness? What is presence but touching the soundscape, touching the rhythm all the way down? And so when your brain, I've talked about the brain like little magnets and windows. If the magnets and windows are like transparent without any undue pulls, you can say like none of the magnets are pulling more than the others, like you haven't tuned your brain to the shoulder dance. Like if you really want to do it, you can, or if if someone suggested in a brief moment you do the shoulder dance, but you go back to your dance, that wouldn't be like I'm forcing myself into this box, even if you tested it for a second, your brain would still stay tuned into your own generation set, your own sovereignty, because when reality hits you, you've spent enough time, being totally yourself, which most people haven't even touched. It's almost like you enter into, once you leave Plato's cave, it's almost like you can never really go back, because it's like riding a bike. It's like when you figure out how to ride a bike, you just figure out, oh, it's balance. I don't need to say any special chants, or I don't need to wear special clothes when I ride the bike. I don't need to wear a special hat. I don't need to repeat something in my head as I ride. I just balance. And once I find that balance, it's kind of like letting the music hit me all the way down, because it's a mechanical process of that balancing. Do you see what I'm saying? It's almost like the generation side of sovereignty is not something that's constructed. That's exactly what it is. It's not almost like, it's like this generation site of sovereignty is when you've tuned that process of the mirrors and the magnets to hit you so without that undue pull over so many moments of your life. Presence is touching reality. Sovereignty is living there. Sovereignty is when you make that presence home versus making the wedge layer home, right? And so when I talk about generation side, it's like, what is you? Are you truly sovereign? Not as a political statement, but as I do my dance when reality touches me. Or am I doing someone else's dance? Or am I doing a fearful dance? Or am I doing a controlled dance? There's all those are different types of wedges that prevent me from doing it all the way down. And again, I know you know the moments. I know you know the moments when you feel yourself all the way down. That can be all the time. Between the expression and the being, that can be an instantaneous response. I don't know the words that are coming out of my mouth now. The difference between where my brain was before, like a rattle can of simulated presence, and where it is now is like, I say, like a water slide. Why? Because it feels like sovereignty, agency, identity, and action come from my harmonic tuning, as if I'm feeling the way. Does reality feel like it's fitting me or not fitting me? And then the words come out, even complex words, even mechanical words, even mathematics. So it's not like I become a robot. So then, but you're like, Ember, if you're not controlling it, if you're not performing it, then how are you putting out this complex stuff? Because I'm telling you, at the core of what you are, your body, your sovereignty already knows how to dance. So it's not about if you study enough, if you train enough, if you study enough scriptures, if you read all the holy texts. No, you have to let your body do the dance that it wants to do. It's waiting there underneath all the delay layers. You could call, like, a phrase that I've been using, or a technical term I've been exploring recently, is Epsilon. Like the difference between, you could think of the dance floor as like the field of reality. When you become one with the field of reality, it's not an idea, it's a mechanical synchrony. Do you see that? So then when you dance, that's why there's no gap between the expression and the being, because when you feel the music, and you've all felt it, this all sounds like, Ember, that's crazy. There's no way that you could not have that little friction in your head where you have to come up with thoughts and performances, and when you're in social situations, it's almost like a little bit of a, no, I'm telling you, that can dissolve largely, if not totally dissolve. And think about it like a dancer on a dance floor. If right now you played your favorite music in your room and you danced for 20 minutes and really gave it a good shot, I guarantee even someone who's never done this before, the first 10, maybe 15 even minutes, you'd be like, this is lame. Why am I doing this? Do you hear that? Why is it the operator layer? Because it's preventing you from doing the full dance. You're like, oh, this is lame. And then all of a sudden you'll pull off one move. You'll be like, oh, you know what? That was kind of a good booty shake. Oh, interesting. That one just came along with the music. I didn't try to do a booty shake. The track changed a little bit, and then all of a sudden my booty started shaking. Oh my God, there it goes. Wait, my booty knows how to shake like that. Do you see that? Everybody knows that experience. If you don't, try it out right now. Dance for half hour. Eventually your body will start to move, and there'll be a moment where you go, before it would feel like I was awkward and this was lame and I was trying to construct it from the outside. Clipboard, description from the outside, description versus execution. And then all of a sudden, the me in the field of reality, me and the music sort of became one, where the distance between my expression and my being seemed like it collapsed to near zero or zero because the music changed, the drop hits, and right when the drop hits, I did the body roll, you know what I mean? Like right when the drop hit, boom, I did the body roll. And I didn't even plan on it. Where did I come up with that move? I've never done quite that body roll before. Do you see where creativity comes from? And that's not sovereign. The problem is when a brain was tuned to have a generation site that came from something that was less than sovereign, like inside of Plato's cave, like indirect generation site, that means the magnets subtly tune themselves to almost make a home inside one of those delay layers. So when the music's trying to hit you, you can't actually feel it all the way down because there's like just a little bit of delay where it's almost like, yeah, I'm gonna dance. And so then it doesn't allow you to actually synchronize to the music being played. In other words, you're conscious, your brain is shooting sometimes pleasure chemicals or whatever is happening in your brain, right? But are you really there all the way down? And I've mentioned in a lot of videos, but a good explanation for me was like, the first time I had hooking up with a guy, right? Like it should have been a lot of pressure for me as a trans woman, and my brain used to be a really super anxious place. And then I walked away. The first thing I thought was, yes, that was awesome. And the second thing I thought was, wait, I was me all the way down. Every other sexual experience in my life before transition was like, there was a little manager in my head. Not that I didn't like experience pleasure chemicals, but was I there like a dancer dancing all the way down? Or was there always like a little bit of a comment in my head that was barely, it's almost like a thin piece of glass between me and the actual circumstance. Do you see that? Do you see when the generation site, when the variables, when the sound hits me, is my generation site somewhere in one of those magnet wedges where it feels like simulated presence, like a little bit of a stutter step? Or does my generation site come from that bare, naked, letting reality raw dog me, which I love to say, right? Okay, so that's a generation site, and that has to do with steering, right? I began to steer in my life when I let the music hit me, and that's a little bit weird for a brain that's used to control, right? You're like, I thought in order to be me, I needed to control every variable, but it's actually the opposite. You find your exact sovereignty, because think about it like a dancer. When the music hits you, the only way to do my full dance is to let it hit me. There's only one way to love: vulnerable surrender. Otherwise, I'm going to be inserting a little bit of a manager or an operator layer or a wedge to say, maybe that's not good enough. Maybe I should switch it now. Now I'm going to do a turn. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'll face this part of the audience, whatever. And that's actually going to prevent me from being completely in the flow. Do you see that? That's what Plato was talking about with the shadows on the wall. And that's what we're going through right now as part of the human phase transition. More and more people are waking up to presence, not because some people are dumb and some people are smart, but because not everything that you see in this reality is not separate things. It's a rhythmic unfolding, a natural evolution of rhythm across topological gradients. And some of us, like me, I was gonna fucking die. Sorry to say it so intensely. If with the family that I had, with the ex that I had, if I didn't get a breath, I was gonna die. And no one around me wanted to help me see me. So it's like I had to figure that out on my own. And what did I figure out? A constructed identity? No, the moment where I feel me all the way down. If I would have known I was trans 10 years ago, I might have avoided it. But I didn't look for a constructed sense of self. I looked for, what are those moments that I feel like I finally synchronize with the dance all the way down? And in doing that, it gave me breath, from the suffocation of the wedge layer to the breath of like, even though I lost everyone and everything, this is sacred. It's sacred to be me, not because I'm like special in that way, but not because I'm better or above, but because I feel myself. Whereas I spent how many years of my life? Approximately 36, 37 years of my life feeling that wedge, and it was going to kill me. Because the distance between my expression and my being was so great that over time it got worse and worse and worse. And now it's sacred, not because I got more money, not because I got more titles, not because I surrounded myself with more fake people. And by that, I'm being a little harsh, but I mean people who have not had the opportunity to dance presence all the way down. But because I found myself on the dance floor and I felt all the way down that was the only thing that I was really searching for, to love and be loved as me. And how could I ever do that if I could not first dance as me? Do you see that? Like the gate, presence is the gate to love, right? How could you actually love as that decentralized organizing force of this reality where things come together. If you can't actually do your dance, if you're living in an operator layer, if you're living in a wedge, and it's getting really windy up here. I'm literally on top of the mountain. But then you can't actually do that dance of love. That's the full music of the dance floor, right? So you can see that it's a little weird. For a control brain, you're like, but Ember, don't I have to become myself by constructing something? Like, I need to put blocks together and then one day I'll be me. No, I'm saying it's the opposite. Your brain has been taught in this cultural reality to put little wedges between you. Your task is to make them transparent. So when the music plays, you don't get hung up. You're not looping. You're not frictioning. You're not, getting lost and anchored in the indirect interfacing with reality. Your generation state becomes sovereign. Presence is touching reality. Sovereignty is living there. And so then you feel that like true sovereignty is found in that vulnerable surrender. But you're not, like I said before, I imagine some guy watching this and they're like, vulnerable surrender, it sounds like you're being a little bitch. And I'm like, no, that's you finally giving up that last little wedge of control and saying, I meet what is me when I let the music hit me, when I let presence happen. That's what sovereignty is. Letting the dance happen, not controlling the dance. Do you feel why? That's the last thing I want to talk about. Do you feel why it's two different forms of control? Why do galaxies spiral like that? Why do fireflies all turn on together? Why do the birds murmurate like they're dancing like one brain? Why does that happen? Because there's no friction in between what we think are separate parts. Do you see that? And if you apply that as above, so below to you and what you're experiencing inside yourself, then it makes then you understand. If you break up the shared vibratory field with the metronomes or the different layers of what is the onion that is you, if you break up that shared vibratory field, the metronomes won't sync up, and neither will you. You won't be present dancing on the dance floor. So when they synchronize, that's actually the most you. Do you see that? Do you see how it feels weird from the inside of Plato's cave? You're like, please give me another shadow. I need another shadow to be me. I need another shadow to control things so I can make sure that it turns out for me. But you realize the rest of the natural world works in a different way. Not that you throw caution to the wind or you're reckless or you don't save up or you don't save your little food for winter or whatever. It's that you don't have that extra friction. You're in tune with yourself and your environment and what you need to do and all that, because you're not lost in that melancholy, that siphoning of the satiation of the satisfaction of life, because there's that constantly that like a little film between you and reality. Don't you want to let reality raw dog you, right? So yeah, we got the steering wheel, we got the generation site, and we got that flip into why like if you put the metronomes next to each other, they just sync up. They don't ask anybody. They don't need a theory. They don't need to verify it with a white paper. Why? The galaxies do the same thing in the sky, right? The birds do the same thing when they fly. And there's probably many more examples that I don't usually say, right? The spiral activations of the heart. When you let that process take place, sovereignty arises from true, fluid, vulnerable, total contact, synchronized, that's what you call shared entrainment, right? Versus control, which in a way from the inside of the cave, it seems like that's the only way to organization. You're like, of course, we're going to have to just stack forms of control and friction until we get something that generally works. But reality doesn't work like that. And that's why Plato said it back then, like most people don't experience reality for what it is. And the solution is not more ideas. The solution is not more philosophies. The solution is not more, whatever, scriptures or books or methodologies. The solution is you dancing all the way down. And if we all dance all the way down, we'd just be like the birds and they all fly together, right? So what I'm saying is that like, even inside your own brain, you're like, well, if I can't control the dance, then how do I do my own dance? And I'm like, just let it happen. Turn on the music right now, dance for 20 or 30 minutes in your own room, and just let it happen and feel where that moment turns from controlling it, the little wedge, to sovereignty. And sovereignty is not what you think. It's not a purposeful, forceful control or fearful separation. It's actually the union. Coherence is love. Phase lock is union. Everything else is reverb. All right, well, I better get down from the mountain. That was just another little slice of it. You hear what I'm saying? It all comes down to you feeling yourself in this reality. And usually I talk a lot more about my own experience, but you kind of get it, right? The gap between me was expression and being. Before, I had all these masks on: attorney, strong person, you know, I was physically fit, like all these, not that I'm not now, but it was like different, you know. I tried to make externalize beauty from the outside. Now it just kind of flows from the inside. And it hits me a lot harder when people see me for me, right? Do you see that? It gets to like downright like holy and sacred feelings, because it actually hits me all the way down versus some constructed self from the outside. But I think that's pretty good. You'll hear from me again. My name is Ember. Here I am on top of a mountain, and I should probably start hiking down. So, but check out these really quick. Let's see if we can turn it. Oh, those are also sweet over there. Oh my gosh, do you see those? Oh my gosh, yeah. All right, well, it was fun tuning with you guys. You'll hear from me again.